Hello fellow YouTubers, welcome to my return video. I am back, and this will be a SummerSlam preview video. Before I start, let me point out that pretty much since WrestleMania I stopped watching. I haven't watched a single Raw, and I don't really know why that is. I just have no interest. So, a lot of these matches I don't know the backstory going into them, so I could be completely off. So, we got 10 matches. I better start talking about them. I'm going to start with the 4 tag team matches because, God, why do we have so many tag team matches? We have a Fatal 4-Way tag match. I believe it's for the titles, featuring the Primetime Players, Los Matadores, the Lucha Dragons, and the New Day. Yeah, I could honestly care less about this match. I really... isn't every team basically a stereotype? I don't really remember what the Primetime Players' gimmick was, but I mean, Los Matadores, they're Matadors, and they're really, really gimmicky too, and it just... If I have to pick, I'll go with New Day, because I could see there being twin magic. I mean, they've done it before at Payback, right? So, maybe they'll do it again. The tag matches continue with Stephen Amell and Neville versus Stardust and Wade Barrett. Let me just start by saying I have no idea who Stephen Amell is. Not the slightest idea. But I must have missed where this made any sense. Last time I was watching, because I remember hearing about Neville, he's been pretty much losing every match. Stardust hasn't really done anything since splitting from Goldust. And Barrett, even though he's the king of the ring, has been pretty much losing ever since. So, why are we having a match featuring 3 jobbers? Why is that our celebrity involvement? I mean, come on. I don't care if they all put on good matches. They're all jobbers. I guess, if I have to pick, I'll go Neville and Amell. Because if he's the celebrity, quote-unquote, then I guess he has to win. I mean, why would you bring in a celebrity who's going to be playing a face to have him lose to 2 heels that lose all the time? Don't get it. I'll continue the tag barrage with the feud between the Had-Been Shield and the Almost Wyatts. While I don't particularly care for Ambrose or Harper or Reigns on some days, I figure Bray and Harper will win. I don't quite expect a heel turn, because I've been hearing that a lot online, that either Roman Reigns is going to turn on Dean Ambrose, or Dean Ambrose is going to turn on Roman Reigns. I don't see that happening, because, for one, it's too obvious, and really, I don't think it's the time for either of them to turn heel. And you figure Dean Ambrose, aside from, I mean, he's lost pretty much every important match, and I don't say that as an insult towards him. It's the truth. Lost just about every single match. But he's still immensely over. And if you were going to turn Roman Reigns heel, I get that you wouldn't want to do it after the Royal Rumble, but maybe do it after WrestleMania. But then they didn't want to do that because they'd rather have him feud with Big Show. So why turn either of them heel now? That's just my thought. You're better off just having Eric Rowan return. Nobody's really expecting it. And then you could have a 6-way tag for the next pay-per-view. I mean, if Seth Rollins loses his title and you don't want him to have a rematch, you can have The Shield versus the Wyatt family at Night of Champions, which, wow, makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? I mean, I guess Seth is heel, but regardless, or you could have the Sting thing that people were saying was going to happen if Eric Rowan wasn't injured, but who knows. The Divas Revolution tag match is next, and what kind of joke is this? Like, seriously? This is supposed to raise the Divas division? Let me put it like this, okay? Yeah, they're all good wrestlers. I get that. Team Bella is like the worst wrestler set in here. Yet, having good wrestlers doesn't make any division better. I mean, the mid-card has a lot of good wrestlers. A lot, being as the mid-card is pretty much anybody that's not John Cena, Randy Orton, Sheamus, and then like Seth Rollins. That's, well, Daniel Bryan's in there too. Anybody that's not those 5 is the mid-card. So the mid-card is full of good wrestlers. The main card is full of, decent wrestlers. Randy Orton can put on a pretty good match. John Cena can if he wants to. And regardless, the story makes no sense. It's really not going to bring any prestige to the division. And let's look at the names of the teams here. You got Team Bella, Team PCB, my bad, and Team BAD. You do realize that those three team names, only one isn't comprised of the team members' names? And that's Team Bad. Like, why would anybody think this is going to improve the Divas division? They haven't put any thought into this. At all. They're just bringing up the Divas. So, who cares? And I don't think anybody in WWE really cares long term anyway. So my guess is we get Team Bad to win. Because, for one, the Bellas winning serves absolutely no purpose. Because if they're going to win the title, might as well be on the line. And we don't really want the submission sorority to win. Don't want to bring too much attention to that. The first match that actually seems legit to me is Kevin Owens and Cesaro. I've seen little bits and pieces of Kevin Owens, and I know the internet loves this guy. This match is rather unfortunate, though, because both guys need to be elevated. Now, I know the WWE could do a feud where both guys get raised up because of it. I know they could do it. It's happened before. But do we really think that's going to happen? I fully expect this to be a great match. Why wouldn't it be? They both can put on a good match. I'm not too big on Cesaro. He just seems to rely on his uppercut too much, and he just doesn't have it. I'm just messing about the not having it part, but his style, it's different, but it doesn't really appeal to me. Haven't even seen Kevin Owens wrestle. But according to the internet, this will be a 5-star classic. But I'd like to see Tyson Kidd return. I don't know if he's when he's supposed to return. Didn't he get injured back in March or April? It's been a while though. So he might be set to return. If he returns, we could have a hazy finish where neither guy really loses. You have a DQ, a double countout, something like that. Or Kevin Owens getting a squash done on Cesaro. Because really, I think the WWE is more willing to push Kevin Owens than they are to push Cesaro. Argue with me all you want. I kind of see it going down that way. Then we have Dolph Ziggler versus Rusev. And let's get realistic. Rusev has to win. Why shouldn't he? He's bigger. He's stronger. He's more interesting. And honestly, he's kind of more charismatic at this point. When he comes on my screen, I actually want to hear what he's saying. But when Dolph Ziggler does, it's usually just kind of like a hot mess. Whatever. The only way I could see Ziggler winning is if Rusev has to save Lana or Summer Rae. But that would make him a face. It would make Ziggler a heel. So I don't know. Either that, or if they officially don't care about Rusev anymore, they could have him lose. Yeah, so I'm picturing Rusev winning this rather easily. We have the triple threat for the IC title. We have Big Show, Ryback, and Miz. This has to be Ryback. It has to be. My guess is Miz is in there to do the job, so the WWE can continue a Ryback Big Show feud. Makes sense. Plus, Ryback pretty much has to win if he loses. Why didn't they just strip him of the title when he got injured? That's just my mindset. I could be wrong. They might be thinking, oh, well, we can have him lose and he could feud with him. But wouldn't it make more sense to strip him of the title, give him more time to recover, and have him come back at Night of Champions or I guess it's Hell in a Cell in October? It's just my thought. So my guess is Ryback's going to retain by pinning Miz. I could be wrong. Then we have the pointless Randy Orton and Sheamus match. Now, Sheamus is your Money in the Bank winner, so I have to imagine he's going to lose. He is also a heel, and so far I picked a lot of heels to lose. To win, my bad. Plus, Orton really hasn't done too well at pay-per-view since WrestleMania, has he? I mean, he lost at Extreme Rules, Payback. I don't know what he did in the June pay-per-view or the July pay-per-view. I don't know. But, I mean, really, Orton seems to do this a lot, where he'll lose a bunch, and then he'll take a win over an established veteran. He did this last year at Night of Champions with Chris Jericho. Because, remember, he'd lost every pay-per-view since Elimination Chamber was the February pay-per-view last year. He lost WrestleMania, then he lost at Extreme Rules, he lost at Payback, he lost at the June pay-per-view, the July pay-per-view, he lost at SummerSlam to Roman Reigns, and then he beat Chris Jericho at Night of Champions to kind of reestablish himself. So he's going to reestablish himself by beating Sheamus, is what I picture happening. Whether it goes down that way, I don't know, but I'd rather see Sheamus win, because you need to actually get something going with Sheamus, because, like, both of these guys are boring. They are. And Sheamus needs to be less boring. Orton doesn't really have to. He can kind of just coast. He's already been at the top for so long. You know, they could just throw him into the title picture whenever they want. Sheamus, they could too. But you figure in the last few years, Sheamus has been United States champion. Hasn't really done anything relevant. So, I gotta imagine Sheamus needs to win more. But maybe he'll cheat when Orton isn't looking and then kick Orton's face in. Then you can continue the feud. I don't know. SummerSlam will also feature the title versus title match of John Cena and Seth Rollins. And for the longest time, I wasn't sure how they were going to make this work. You figure if Cena wins, he's a 16-time world champion. Kind of was no point in having Seth Rollins as champion, to be honest. You might as well have just given John Cena the belt at Royal Rumble and had him hold it for a year. I mean, I'm sure I'm being overdramatic, but if Seth Rollins wins, now he has a useless U.S. title, which he either is going to keep and have to defend it every week on Raw, or he's going to devalue it by not doing anything with it, or he'll devalue it by giving it up. The U.S. title gets nothing out of being in the spot. Nothing at all. And I'd heard multiple people saying Sheamus is going to cash in, which would make sense if you have Sheamus, in the first match with Randy Orton. But it means they're doing the exact same thing they did at WrestleMania. And if you remember, out of the last 3 years have featured in this scenario would feature cash-ins at SummerSlam. Because you'd have Sheamus cashing in this year. Last year you didn't, but the year before that, you had Randy Orton cash in to start the Authority storyline. And the year before that, you had Alberto Del Rio cash in to start the stupid, good-for-nothing, him giving up the title to CM Punk for whatever reason storyline. But I figured it out. Jon Stewart. Remember, he was feuding with Seth Rollins before WrestleMania and nothing came of it. So, Jon Stewart comes out and attacks him. He hits Seth Rollins, costing Cena the match. Rollins wins, but the title can't move hands by disqualification. So the title doesn't move. Technically, you'd cover all your bases. Then, you can be like, oh, we're going to have a rematch at Night of Champions. John Cena doesn't have the broken nose, or he might still have it, I don't know. But he can lose the U.S. title on the way to Night of Champions, and then John Cena can take the title. Just saying, it makes far more sense, I think, to have it go down that way. That way the U.S. title isn't being devalued. Cena still wants to hold both. Anyway, Cena wins and becomes a 16-time world champion to hold Tomania to fight Roman Reigns. I guess I'm fine with that. Then we have Taker Lesnar, which is what everyone wants to see, and it's what I want to see. I mean, well, I've heard the general consensus is Taker wins. I'm thinking Lesnar's going to win. Not really seeing why they're doing this match. I mean, I could see the argument of we need a high-profile match, but you had that with John Cena, Seth Rollins, both titles on the line. Neither guy really gains anything from winning, though. Taker has never beat Lesnar, so why would he now? Unless Sting interferes to help Taker beat Lesnar. Then we could have Taker and Sting team up. It's just a thought. Maybe pretty interesting to see them take on like the Authority together. It's just a thought. Do I see that happening? No. Most likely Undertaker's going to win. And it'll be really boring. And yeah. So those are my SummerSlam predictions. Comment with yours down there. And I'll respond to discuss it with you Also, feel free to ask me a question on my Ask FM page.